Okay, I call to order the July work session for the New Bern Historic Preservation Commission. Purpose of the work session we'll go through in a minute. First, are there any adjustments to the agenda? Anyone? Mr. Shelley? You made one adjustment on the paper.
Right, so I changed the agenda today. So what appears on the screen is correct.
Okay. The handout is not correct.
It is with the error.
It's been corrected.
And if you do a roll call, please.
Sure. All right. Molly Bales is excused. Ross Beebe.
Here.
Gregory Rush.
Here.
Elena Huber is absent. Mike Wika.
Here.
Jim Morrison.
Here.
Tim Thompson.
Here.
John Schmid.
Here.
And Richard Parsons.
Here.
We have a quorum.
All right, thank you. Welcome to the HPC work session. The work session is used for COA design reviews, for training, and for informal discussion of matters that do not require formal action by the HPC. Business requiring a vote may not be conducted at a work session. Public comment is normally not allowed at a work session, and no quorum is required, but attendance by HPC commissioners, while not mandatory, is strongly encouraged. For a design review, the purpose is to provide guidance to COA applicants on New Bern's historic principles and standards, city ordinances, and state statutes related to historic preservation. It's a chance for both the applicant and the HBC to exchange information and ask questions. So with that, Mr. Shelley, if you want to start with the first.
All right. So our first application is 226 East Front Street. Or application, it's actually an amendment to a request for an amendment to the approved COA on file. So that was done in last August. So just a reminder, you guys probably want to do an extension request. Send me an email and then you get your 1 year. It's really fancy, so and complicated. So then this is actually their application from the first time around, and it also indicates Mr. Walker, who's in the audience today, as their authorized representative, but the centenaries are here tonight. So welcome to New Bern. And so if you may or may not remember, we're talking about the property on the corner of East Front Street and Pollock Street. And those are very bad pictures. This is the site plan that they provided at the time. The purple building is the subject property, and then also includes the development of this new parking lot as well as a little bit of site work with some ramps and stairs and such around the building. We'll talk about that. And East Front Street is at the top, so there's a simplified view of that, the architectural site plan. Here to note for tonight's meeting is this shows parking spaces that face the building on the back side. And so it's just a little bit bigger in case you want to ask any questions about that in the future. So, and the approved plans include, as I mentioned, a ramp, which is here on the upper left-hand corner, wrapping around and landing up front of the building. And on the back side is like a colonnade arcade on the back side, essentially, a modern arcade, as well as on the front side. So the interior space has these 3 doors on the west side, and then not yet shown any doors on the east side. And there's a tower on the right-hand side here on the north side, and which includes an elevator which ends or lands bottoms out at this and so far they want to amend those things that I just mentioned mostly. It's the second floor and third floor, not really so super relevant this evening. And so this was the, I'm going to make this now much bigger. This was the approved front elevation facing East Front Street. And primarily the only things that will be changing in the request is the area of the facade below the first floor. Essentially the ground level will get much lower, and because the building's going in their request taller. We did have some questions about the elevations in that, but the applicant sent an email with some revised drawings about half an hour ago, so we'll look at those too. This then was is the approved rear elevation, facing east, and again showing that arcade along there on just a solid foundation, and about 8 steps on each side, left and right. And then the two sides, this one on the left here has the ramp going down, and on the right has stairs on the back of the building, and then this is on the right side. It shows the stairs that are out front in the middle. Well, that's fine. So, and some details that we don't need. So this was the rendering, one of the 2 renderings for the project at the time. So you can see, essentially, these 2 figures here, I suppose, are life size or to scale, and so they're about. So the first floor is about at their shoulder height. And an aerial view at the same time. And this is the COA that was issued. And so now their request is to, they would like to use that solid foundation area space to put some parking underneath the back of the building where those parking spaces are, and thereby necessitating elevating the building somewhat. Well, it turns out that so here they're showing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 garages in here. And then they're also going to have the elevator go all the way down to that level. We're calling it ground level. And a little elevator lobby here too. So no longer is a ramp necessary. However, elevating that, the floor necessitates a lot more steps for all of the steps, and so here there's a hairpin turn, which you kind of see there when you get to the first floor. It now appears the arcade on the back side has been removed, but the one on the front remains. The ramp down the front side no longer exists. Let's see what else. Let's see what upper floors don't matter.
Hey, Matt, what's the difference in elevation on the first floor?
So what?
What's the increase in elevation on that first floor?
So I think that is one of our own questions. We're not quite sure.
Okay. I couldn't tell from the drawing.
All right. So this was so what I did was even though the drawings we just saw were part of the proposal, this is what is currently approved. And the next slide will be the proposed one. But I also drew on here this dark black line down here, which is actually where the land is at the sidewalk. So this elevation was missing about 2 feet of height in its appearance anyway. So there's that question, or that issue. But, and so now that's the new one. The proposed one, sorry. So of course now there's more stairs and steps along on the front and then on the back as well, as I mentioned before. I'm not exactly sure if this ground level is quite correct or if it's even lower than that. I think it might be about a foot lower. So what this shows, I don't know why it keeps going smaller on me. So what? Where's the regulatory flood elevation? Which level is that on here, Chris?
Look like that.
Can you talk to them what?
So if you look at this, it's at the 0, 0 level.
What does LIM mean?
That's the Limois zone.
Limois? Okay.
Yeah, we need to revise these elevation tags.
We thought that was it, but
Um,
okay. So
So
anyway,
that's 0, and then we have 2 foot to the bottom of our structure, and then 2 foot structure and flooring to get us to the first floor level.
Okay, so you're saying, so the Limois being what? The 10 feet or the 12-foot regulatory?
On this plan, it's at the 10-foot level.
Okay,
Yes, so it's not showing the 12-foot regulatory level.
okay. So now, and this is now the new proposed one. So what we also discovered in the process was that especially now with the garage underneath, the construction of the building has to be more like a building on stilts, like a beach house kind of thing. And rules for that are not relative to the finished floor height, but the rules on that are relative to the building, the lowest horizontal member of the building structure. So you can think of a beach house with the stilts, and then at some point there's a platform that they construct. The bottom side of the lowest horizontal member has to be above the flood elevation. So here it's 12 feet above sea level. So we'll see in a second. There's potentially some issues, but there might not be in the end. But in the establishment of the floor level is not as rigid as it otherwise would be, because a floor structure can be a foot thick, 2 foot thick, 3 foot thick, and we don't. Our standards are related to what the minimum elevation should be. So,
Yeah, well, right now, we're staying right at that 12-foot level for the bottom of our structure. We're not exceeding that.
right. So that.
Bottom of the structure or bottom of that cross member?
The bottom of the horizontal member, so the joist down under the first level, the bottom of the joist would be at the 12-foot level.
Yeah, okay, so we'll go right here. So this is now the back side, because this is where it makes the difference. You can't have horizontal members going through your garage door, right? So if you're going to have garage doors, they're going to want to have their the bottom side of the lowest member at 12 feet above sea level. So where is that on this? Is that at the limb 0, 0 or limb?
It's 2 foot above that LIM.
Above that.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll need to see that on the elevations where that is,
Yep.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And it'll need to be clear that that the structure is there. So what we're going to request is some kind of explanation, sketch, design, detail showing the bottom of the lowest member and how that's related to the openings on this side of the building.
Yeah, we'll give you guys a building section.
Building section there.
Mm-hmm.
Because it may also affect what's happening inside your building, although that's not not of our concern, but it would be for you. And so we want to make sure that you stay in compliance with our requirements at the same time.
So that 12 foot the whole way around though, correct?
Well, not necessarily. So,
How so?
so again, if you think of the beach house, right? If you have a row of columns going down the depth of the house, right? The lowest member might be on the sides, but then a foot or two above that would be then the next lowest member, say a beam that goes across those beams, or the joists that go across those beams.
But that lowest, that 12
And so
feet,
you pick up a foot or two that way, so the lowest members might, the 12-foot lowest member might only be in one direction.
yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, okay.
But there's a minimum 12 on
Yes.
all sides.
On all sides, yeah. Mhm.
Oh, yeah,
That's my question.
would be, yes.
Yes.
So-
Yeah, the elevation varies around the building. I mean, it's higher on the southwest side, and then it kind of grades down to the back of the building. That's why we chose to try to do some underground parking there.
So
Zipped over that, we have the elevations from their surveys. And so at the back of the building, here in the parking spaces, the ground level is 5 feet. So that's only 7 feet between 5 and 12, right? And this is sloping up slightly. It's more than 5 feet probably. So there's an issue, potentially an issue with where the basement slab ends up, drainage in or out.
Yeah, we're going to deal with that, and we may excavate a tiny bit just right there in the basement level, just to get us down far enough.
So
you
For head height.
excavate in the parking lot side just to
Yeah.
get down to that
Mhm.
rubber level?
Yeah, possibly 6 inches to a foot, just in the basement area.
So what does that raise your first floor, the question I started with?
From the previous-
previously approved to this one, how much does that first floor go up?
I want to say it's 2 to 3 feet, somewhere in that range.
It looked bigger, you think it's only 2 to 3 feet? Couple of
I
steps?
think so. I don't have it in front of me to tell you, but I can get that information for you.
And what will this do to the total elevation of the building? Highest point?
It's just bringing the total elevation up by whatever we needed to get us above the floodplain.
Yeah, so in the proposed change, we have, let's see. The highest point for the tower roof bearing, I think, that much bigger. 48 feet, looks like. Above, well, it's 48 feet above the first floor, which is then, in the approved one, 4 feet above grade. So, yeah.
It's a little deceiving, though, looking at, trying to compare these two, because the floor plan elevation here is 0 foot 0 at the first floor plan, but in the new plan, it's 0 at the LIM level, so.
So this is his new elevation for the front. He doesn't have one for the rear, but here we're showing the 12-foot and then the 2-foot more for the first floor. So it's actually going to, so you're allowing 2 feet for your structure and flooring, and then 8 feet for the basement below that member. So that puts you below your grade in the back, 1.5 feet.
Yeah, just slightly below grade in the back.
But if you think about what I was talking about, going depth of build, the row of columns, you can probably pick up a foot.
Inside the building, yeah. Yeah, we'll take a look at that.
All right.
Does this change the required parking spots by having garages versus open parking?
We are taking some spots away from the back of the building, but they were already going to be residential parking anyway, so we're just kind of
Yeah, so they
putting
have,
them into the building and giving them more
Because you're
parking
not
on the back.
parking in front of the garages.
so we ran it past zoning.
I'm sorry, what was that?
We ran it past zoning, and this, because there's also an SUP, a special use permit involved with this. And they were noticing that you lose 3 spaces on the ground level or outside the building, but you add 7. So it's a net gain of 4 anyway. So now, granted, they are,
Private.
stacked parking, right?
Tandem parking?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess, however you call that, front and back, right? So the person in the garage can't get out if there's a car outside.
So I'm assuming the ones outside will be part of the private.
Yeah, those will be for the residential.
And so I heard Matt ask for also the ground level, make sure those are correct. And I notice on the back, it looks like the ground level's here, and then you do excavate down for the driving into the garage. That's correct.
Right, just slightly, yeah, but we'll get those elevations nailed down before the next meeting.
Yeah, if you want, I can show you my sketches on the little columns concept.
Sure.
So the front then, the foundation, is it columns then with, or is it a solid foundation, or is it more of a column with infill?
Yeah, it's essentially pilasters and then breakaway walls between each pilaster.
And what's the material in those breakaway walls?
Right now, we were planning to do like a thin brick material for the breakaway walls, and then full brick, standard brick for the pilasters. And we'll try to match it up as close as we can.
So the drawing where it looks like all brick is not actually correct.
It's not brick.
Yeah, it's not brick.
Yeah.
Just asking, I'm not
Not
saying
standard,
right or wrong. I'm
not
just-
standard brick, yeah.
Yeah.
And will those pilasters, will they be concrete block with just a brick face?
Yes. Yeah, that's the plan.
So what were you saying was the infill panel, the breakaway, covered with facelift? I missed that, sorry.
It's a thin brick veneer.
Yeah, okay. All right, and then he also provided for tonight this new rendering then for showing the higher construction. So you can see the benefit of plantings
Yeah.
and reducing the overall effect.
And it's surprising that it's not all that much different than the building next door, which,
Right.
yeah.
Right.
You own that as well, is that correct?
What's that?
They own that as well? Yeah.
Yeah, the same areas, yep.
And so if you look at the people that are shown on here, assuming again that they're to scale, it now is quite a bit higher. It seems that way. Now, the white band here is not the floor level.
Right, it's a railing.
Is it?
That is the floor level.
That's,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, I guess that's it for the presentation so far. So, would you like to basically see the revised drawings then presented next month at the design review meeting?
In the back, you said that you were going to get rid of the colonnade. Was that?
So yeah, the back, we did get rid of the colonnade and we kept the openings there and just pushed the entire business section of the first floor all the way back to the back wall.
Was there, I don't know what I'm seeing, was there a rendering of what the back looks like in the new ones? Or maybe just a drawing, I guess?
No,
Is there a drawing that shows that?
just the drawings. So,
It's not that one. That one.
There's a
Yeah.
3D
that's the
view.
new one, right, or the proposed one.
Mhm.
This is the
That's the back.
previous one. Now, this one, the effect is different because, well, obviously there's a lot more shadow lines there, making that darker. You know, it's
Yeah, same pattern though, we're just infilling with windows there.
Are these, I don't remember if they're going to be rentals or condominiums?
Up on, the upper levels be rentals.
Rentals.
The first floor is
Business.
designated for business. Yeah.
Any questions from commissioners?
Yeah, on the front elevation, Matt, could you go to the front? Just want to make sure I'm understanding a couple
Current or
things.
new?
The new, please. What's the material in the front center of that entry?
The
Is that just pattern,
Underneath the stairs?
pattern brick, or is that a like a vent louver, or?
yeah, that's like a lattice vented kind of opening there
Okay.
in the front.
And then help me out with the differences in guardrails, just so I understand what's going on there. If I look over on either the left or the right, that looks like about the standard guardrail. It looks like the 8 panels on the front wall in the middle are higher. Is that correct?
I'm not sure I'm tracking with you there.
So if where that cursor is, go back over either side, Matt. If that's your standard height guardrail, if you go over to the next one on right there, one, you can keep going over to the right, another 3 panels, and then skip the front entry, and then those 4 panels over there. Those look like they're higher. Is that correct?
It is slightly higher there.
Okay.
I didn't notice that before. We may
And then
look
the
at pulling that
same
down.
with the 3 panels of guardrail in the very front center. Those actually look like they're lower. Help me out. I'm just trying to get an understanding of what's correct there and what we're going to see.
Yeah. Let me investigate that a little more. I'm kind of thinking that we might want to pull them all to the same height.
Okay. And then I think another question that I had is, Matt, if you can zoom out just a little bit and go to there you go, right to the far left there. I'm seeing it at the, I'm going to call it the elevator tower, for lack of a better term, where you got that canopy over the entry.
Mhm.
You're showing it on this elevation and on the back elevation. You're showing 2 sections of guardrail there at level 2 and level 3, but on the end elevation, looking straight at that, you're only showing the guardrail on 1. Is maybe we square that away and make sure we understand which is which. You guys zoom out there, Matt.
Can you get to the side elevation? Let me see that, Matt.
Other side, other
Yeah.
end.
There we go.
There you go. So there's 1 at level 2 there, and then it's not up above at 3.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah, it should be a rail there too.
Okay, should be there. So that's the intent. Thought I had one more question. I can't remember what it was. Oh, that's what it was. The rear stair, southeast, on the elevations shows that stair is open underneath.
Right.
Is that open underneath, or is that going to be covered like or enclosed like this one here is? This is the north side. If you go to the south end there, Matt. There, you can kind of see through that. But the rendering you did shows that is block under that stair. I think we just need to square away, which is correct
Okay.
for the next meeting.
Yeah, I do know that this side on the, what is that, the southwest corner of the building, that one needs to be open. We have a door that's coming out right under that stair that needs it's an egress door from the basement. So
Okay.
that side will need to keep open.
I think if you can update that, just to make sure we understand how that's open. You know, you could open it and go left, open it and go right. Maybe it's pass through. I just want to make sure we get that
Sure.
correct. And then
Not your breakaway walls while you're doing that.
I think the last one I had, and I'm not sure, let's go out on a limb and say I'm not sure how pertinent it is. If you could go to the west elevation, am I looking at a front door? I'm just trying to understand how the opening to the building works and if that's acceptable as materials on there, and maybe it's because it's secondary. I guess I need a little help on there. I'm sorry. Back elevation that shows the garage doors. Actually, I think that should be labeled south elevation there. So is that storefront window there where you go into underneath?
This here, that's for the elevator lobby.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's a storefront system right there.
okay. Okay.
Let's see, I was trying to find that floor plan to show the doorway to the outside.
You're a couple pages up for that.
So, but what we see here is a single run stairway.
Yeah, that matches the plan now.
Mm-hmm.
Right, but over here. Oh, I see, that's the.
Yeah, you're seeing the background
distance,
there.
Right, you see the background. It's one of the curses of these digital programs. You see too far in the back. I don't want to look at that right now.
Transparency back there.
Been there, done that, we get you.
Anything else?
You
Anyone?
can see Richmond through there. Look.
So I guess eventually we'll need more detail what the garage doors actually look like. They can be utilitarian, but just what do they look like? And any doors, eventually, what the appearance of the door is, material, et cetera.
Will there be signage on those overhead doors? And is that anything we need to be concerned with? Private parking
There was
type
talk of
signage.
putting signage on the front of the building, kind of on the brick face.
What are you talking about, John?
I'm just thinking about like the parking lots downtown here where we got signage about, private parking. I could envision there being a need for that in the not too distant future after this building is constructed and people just sort of parking there and
Sure.
becoming a thing.
Yeah.
Figured I'd rather ask the question than not.
Does it concern you or just noting?
I'm just trying to note
All right.
and make sure that we are understanding what that building's going to be. That's really where I'm going.
Yeah, let me look at the signage aspect, and I'll see if I can at least show where that's going to be.
That's it, Matt? Does that give you everything you asked for?
No, those are the main things, and be enough for next
Yeah.
time.
And so I doubt you'd have that done by Friday this week, so.
Oh, don't doubt it. All right. So these were actually some renderings that were provided for
Yeah, for this
for
one.
this request.
Had a lot of favorable comments from the public on how this looks, so thank you.
Yeah, good. Appreciate it.
All right.
So Chris,
So,
thank you.
Yeah,
And I believe the next meeting then is August 5th.
August 5th for the formal meeting.
No, for the design review.
Yeah, because if you don't have the drawings to Matt by this Friday, we don't have it,
Well,
right?
Yeah, what's the cutoff for getting to the
So
final?
if he does, are you guys okay with them coming
Yes.
to the regular meeting in 2 weeks?
Yeah,
'Cause
if he can-
I need to know today in order to post everything.
Right, that's why I asked that
You
question.
think you're going to have everything done by Friday deadline? This Friday?
No,
It's not this Friday?
no. So any revisions need to be indexed by next Thursday.
Okay, next.
Next Thursday.
Yeah.
My
That might be
That's a little
apologies.
different.
Yeah. Okay.
But I don't see any showstoppers here to,
Okay. So, and of course, if they don't have it ready, or if they don't feel like they're ready, or whatever, we can always postpone, it's called continue the thing to the following meeting,
Okay.
and then we don't have to repost everything and all that.
yeah, and we will look at it. If we think it's something is incomplete, we'll decide that at the meeting.
Right.
But if you give all this the stuff, I can't imagine that.
Okay.
Well, that would be our intention. You know, we got thrown this limbo thing, And it's sleep up the microphone, sorry. You know, majority of the changes that you're seeing and so on, it's all being required by the limb law requirements, raising it up and so on. It's been a difficult challenge, I'll be very honest with you. I want to put this building up there, but there's been some times in the last 45 days that I've been scratching my head and saying, is this the right thing to do? I mean, I wanted to make a landmark building. You know that I showed you the building that was there historically,
Yep.
and I'm going out of my way to create that. It's an expensive building, but the limb wall was a left curve for me. I built subdivisions and I built this, but this was a real curve for me. Lift up a 4-story building 12 feet. And I've had 2 architects working on this challenge. So as far as postponing and stuff, Chris has been very attentive, and I've been making sure he's been attentive. I don't want any more delays if we can avoid that.
Yeah, we don't either. It's just.
I mean, I'm trying to make something really special for this city. That's my intent. You know, the whole corner, we own it. We want to make it a special place. And I realize the importance to the city of its location, and that's what you're seeing there. But it's been a grind. I'll be real honest with you. It's been taking me right to the point where I'm saying, what am I doing here? This 12 feet, and then everything's got to be 12 feet. I mean, it's been a real challenge.
Well, we're glad
Chris
you're
is-
here, so don't.
Yeah, I'm sure you've been through it before. So
But-
as far as delays and stuff, we'll make sure we
My
get you this stuff.
confusion on that was just, it was off by a week because we do have, once we schedule a hearing, he's got to do all kinds of notifications and.
Yes, I'm
100-foot
aware of that. We
letters
did
and
that
all that
before.
stuff, so-
We've been through that process.
Yeah.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay,
Okay, 406 Avenue A.
Thank you.
thank you. All right. So this is the application for 406 Avenue A for Mark and Beth DeBagian. Thank you. And also their contractor, Jason Bolton with Southern Homes. And what they simply want to do is replace their storage building in the backyard with a new one. And there's been some complications. This is then their signed application, and you saw that was Mr. Holton's signature, so he is with this form here duly designated as the authorized representative for them, but obviously the owners are here, also the contractor, Mr. Holton is also here. Today they sent me the survey drawing that they have for the property, and then that was compared with what's on GIS, which GIS is off by a couple of feet, so that might be helpful for you guys to know. The GIS is off by a couple of feet, so on your survey it shows the width of the property is 32.55 feet. But the GIS shows 30 feet, so there's 2.5 feet, no, 30.4 feet, so 2 extra feet there that you didn't know was there probably. The garage itself, the existing, or formerly existing garage, it's now already been demolished, was not indicated in our inventory, so we are relying on the county data here for the building date of 1950. That date could potentially qualify it to be considered as a contributing structure. However, it's no longer there, for one, and two, it might not have been so contributing after all. So these are some photos. So it's going to be a demolition and redevelopment application. So they provided some photos of previously existing storage building, very nice building on the exterior. And, you know, they have a couple of pictures down the side of the property and from out front and such. But once they got into starting the demolition of the building, the entire structure was in terrible shape, despite the nice exterior coating. So, of course, this is a demolition project here, but you can see almost all the sheathing is deteriorated, if not termite eaten, destroyed. So, and then the structural member here, I'm not sure what it leads to or what it was attached to, but also eaten by termites and through here or dry rot. So it's at some point, if not in 2 weeks, potentially the next meeting after that, you guys will have to make a determination on the demolition of the building in the process.
Let me stop you there, but you're saying it's already demolished, right?
Yes, it is.
So it's an after the fact.
That's correct. Yeah. So, but you still would have to do a formal declaration or something in the process. And then they provided a site plan, so now we'll move on to the redevelopment piece. They provided first this was their sketch of their site plan, showing a 16 by 18 storage shed, and
that's on the existing slab that was there? Is that a new slab, or is that the
Yes.
same size as the old one?
yes and no.
Same slab, same footage, same everything.
So, and if you're going to speak, please come up to the microphone. But the issue is that the slab and the garage were either on the property line or across the property line, yet to be determined, which meant the slab itself was also at that point, and yet they can't build a new structure on the property line or across the property line. So there's some questions about what's going to happen with that. And maybe they want to come up and talk to us about that at some point, anytime. Yeah, go ahead. If you want to talk to us about what you're planning on doing now that...
Sure. Can I tell you where the termite damage came from?
Oh, well, that's probably inconsequential.
Okay.
Yeah.
First, state your name, please.
Mark DeBajan. What we're planning is, yes, we were surprised at the termite damage and shocked because we had no idea that it was happening, and it had been happening for years. So, yeah, we were shocked, and Jason was just supposed to nail up a few boards and replace some rotten wood, and he says, I've got nothing to nail anything into. So, yes, we sort of panicked, and yes, we took the building down, and yes, we were fined $500 for doing it.
No. There's no fine. No fine.
Didn't we write a check?
You have a $500 fee for the application.
Okay.
Everybody has to pay a fee for their application.
Okay. Then I apologize.
Yeah, okay. Go ahead.
So anyway, it was a historic garage sitting on a historic slab and foundation. We did take the garage down. The foundation is still there. It hasn't moved. If we cannot rebuild on that foundation, we're going to have to move over. That means the concrete foundation now, the platform that it sits on going all the way around has to be torn out. And then we have to build a whole new set of risers to build the garage on. And this is going to add tremendously to the cost, which we're already trying to spend a lot of money. It is important to us that this house and this garage are as historically accurate as we can keep them. We are merely the caretakers of this house. So we are trying with the best of intentions to rebuild it as close as possible to what the last one was.
Yeah, that's actually true compared to what they have submitted for their design drawings, which I'll show you now here in a second. So that's essentially what they're proposing for the replacement. The dimensions be slightly different, perhaps, depending on what they decide in the end for the foundation. But you can see it looks almost the same as the previous one. Even the little light on above.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We saved it.
All right.
It's the only thing the termites didn't eat.
So what's the issue with the slab being over the property line or maybe on the property line? Is that something that's a planning and zoning matter or just a?
Wait, yeah, so nobody cares if it's up to the property line. The neighbors might care if it's over the property line. So they just can't build on the first 3 feet between the property line and the required setback. So that is a zoning issue. But after that,
Is the existing slab within that 3 feet from the property line?
No. Right.
yeah, it extends to the property line.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it goes back to the property. So when it was built, it was pushed right against the property line.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So there's no setback space, but it's not exceeding the property line that?
Right, so theoretically, let's just imagine they decide to build on whatever's left of the pad. They could build on all but 3 feet of it and
Sure.
end up with a piece of concrete sticking out
Okay.
past their building.
Yes, in the setback area,
Yeah.
which means they either have to add some slab on the other side to make the same size.
If you want to keep
Or-
the storage building the same size, yes.
Or make a smaller building
Reduce the
by 3 feet in each direction.
Well, in one direction. at least.
One direction.
It doesn't bump up against your back property line, does it?
It's inside 3 feet. It
Yeah,
doesn't bump
okay.
up
So-
against it,
so
but no.
It doesn't extend all the way up to the back property line?
No,
Does
sir.
it show on the survey?
No, not yet. There's no structure shown on the survey.
But our problem with making it smaller is it's got to be raised so water doesn't get in it. And if we have to take down the existing concrete that it's built on top of and move it over 3 feet, it's going to cost so much more money that we might not be able to afford to build as nice a garage as we want to build that looks historic like the original did.
So can you saw cut 3 feet off and remove that for that way? Yes.
I mean, it can be done. It's just a matter of how much more it's going to cost to do that and then build more cement risers to put the garage on.
Is there a possibility that zoning would allow the foundation to stay as is and build on existing foundation?
Yeah, as long as you stay 3 feet away from the property line.
Well,
The foundation doesn't have to move, just the building.
Yes, correct.
I was just going to, I'm Jason Holton, I'm Southern Homes of New Bern, and I was just going to add to it that what he's talking about, the slab, it's got probably a 6-inch wide, and it's probably 4 to 6 inches tall, all the way around the perimeter where it's raised up.
Almost a curve.
If we had to reduce the size of the building, that would be taken away. The problem is with that is the actual land is the slab is set down lower than the existing ground. So with the way they have it now, where it's built up 6 inches, it's actually keeping the water from running off from the existing land. So if you did away with that, it's going to be considerably lower on that side.
But I don't think anybody's saying you have to chop 3 feet off the concrete. You just have to move the building, correct?
Yeah.
You just have to have the
But
building.
he's saying
3
that
feet.
there's that curb or whatever that
Yeah,
sits
you've got
on.
a curbing, yes.
So you'd have to put a new curb on,
Well, yeah, you'd have to, I guess, cut it off and back to 3 feet and then build that back up.
But, I mean, there's nothing we can do about setbacks.
That's right.
There's absolutely nothing we can do.
And that was the point I was going to make. Look, you need to, planning and zoning, we can't determine that, we can't override that. We're focused on,
Okay.
mass scale proportion of the structure.
Right.
So planning and zoning, planning and zoning does their thing, and then they say, okay, here's where it complies or doesn't comply.
Yes, sir.
So we're talking two separate things.
Okay.
3-foot setback, we have absolutely no say on that at all.
And sadly enough, if you had managed to rebuild that thing inside the aluminum siding, it would be grandfathered in and it could stay there. But you can't build a new one where that one was.
Okay.
So,
So where,
Okay, so we want to talk about the design of
Yeah,
the
yeah.
building, right?
right,
So, so can you give us an idea, it's probably on here, what the materials are? What's the siding on here? So the roofing is metal, standing seam?
yes, it's got a panel lock standing seam roof on it for the historical part of it. It's got 7-inch smart lap siding. It would be the windows around the trim and all would be 6-inch trim around those. Have the double doors.
I'm sorry, what's a smart lap siding?
Smart lap siding.
Yeah. What material is
It's oriented strand board.
It's got a factory finish on the outside. It's got like a wood grain on it, and it's pre-primed.
and it's made out of, is it like an?
It's like OSB. It's like OSB originally, and then they put a
covering
finish
over
on
it.
top of that. But the building will be sheeted as well and house wrapped before that goes on.
Okay.
And it will be painted white.
So I think for that kind of material, we ask that it be a flat, smooth
Right.
surface. not-
We do.
not a-
Okay. Okay.
yeah, but it is wood, so that's,
Yes, sir.
Well, but we're really talking about a new structure here, so
Yeah.
contemporary material.
Contemporary.
it could be, I mean, it could be hardy board if you want.
Be hardy board.
Could be,
You
yeah.
could if you want, choose to.
Okay.
The key thing is I guess, one of you said was a smooth surface,
Yeah.
not
Okay. Yeah.
the wood grain surface.
I understand. Yes, sir.
So we do have some requirements for the metal roofing, even for new structures like this, that the pans have to be totally flat.
Okay.
No corrugation, no striation, nothing, and not be greater than 24 inches between the standing seams.
Yes, sir. Okay.
Probably, which looks like what you're planning to do anyway.
Yes, sir.
But what about
We do need to see those on the plans, so that when it doesn't happen, we can come back and say, look.
Okay. All right.
And what size did you say the trim is around the windows?
It's 1 by 6.
Okay. Does it say that on there?
I'm not sure if it does on that one or
So-
not.
Anything you say, if you could please then make sure it's on your drawings.
And it could just be a note somewhere, nothing formal.
Can you scroll up a little bit? I think it's somebody said something.
Hope your eyes are better than mine.
Can you, where does it stop right there? It said something about why?
The material for
Doors
the
are
doors.
6 feet wide, okay.
We'll want to know the material for the doors.
They had existing doors that we were going to try to reuse. I'm not sure if that's going to be, we're going to be capable of doing that now that we're reducing the size of the building. We might have to go down to one door.
Okay. But still, you reuse the same door.
That's true, yes. Yes.
Or maybe it's a larger
Possibly,
new
if
door.
that's what they would like to do, yes.
Or maybe a larger new door.
Right, right, yes, sir.
Let's see, the windows are made of, you guys already asked that, what are the windows made of?
No, but I'd like to know.
I'm not sure what the requirement is on that, so no requirement. Will there be new construction?
You can use vinyl windows if you want.
Yeah, new construction, yes, sir.
So you just have to tell us that on the drawings.
Okay.
The drawings just have to tell us all these things.
Okay,
I mean, visually, it looks nice.
okay.
And Matt, who would he talk to? I mean, because the Board of Adjustment does deal with things, but who should he talk to in planning and zoning?
They're already talking.
They are,
zoning,
okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Because there's the potential issue of encroachment across the property line.
Right.
So-
By 3 feet. I mean, that's an option too.
Well, no, I think it's maybe more like a foot or two, but.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
And then, let's see, so the muntins, so the cross members in the glass,
Yeah.
you can either do the true divided lights, or you do not flat muntins, but you do what we call three-dimensional, you have a profile on them.
Okay.
And you're probably not going to use double glazing, so
No.
yeah.
Is it all right to have the grids in them? Is that what you're saying?
Yep.
Okay.
But they have to be three-dimensional, not flat.
Okay.
Also one about that.
And all the corner boards are the 6-inch wide 1x6s as well?
Yes.
Awesome.
How about did we get to the rake and the?
Well, the rake will be 1 by 8.
Okay. Again, we can just make sure that's all put on those drawings.
Yes, sir.
Or on a drawing somewhere.
and just looking at the old shed, it looked like just had 1/1 windows. The house looks like it has something different. You could match that.
Okay. Okay.
I mean, if you want to, but we don't.
Yes, sir.
It's just, it used to be 1 by 1. I'll just point that out.
Okay.
Anything else, anybody?
Yeah, any commissioners, anything else? Okay. So keep working with Matt and just
Okay.
let him know where you stand.
Yes, sir. Thank
The
you.
light bulb has to be white.
Okay. All right.
And-
Thank you.
And good luck working with the zoning department.
Yeah, good luck.
So, we can't, in 2 weeks, we could make a decision on this, so we could put you on the agenda, but we can't make a decision if there isn't a resolution to the zoning.
Well, I mean, they do, that would have to be, you'd be referred by the guy in planning and zoning.
Yeah, no, so hopefully you don't have to go there.
But that would delay
It
this
sounds
as well.
like there's some relatively easy solutions to avoid going to the Board of
Yeah.
Adjustment.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right,
Good luck.
Thank you.
so I got that for the regular meeting too. If it's not ready, then again, continuation, right? Jim?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. C is 748 East Front Street, Queens Point. So the applicants are not here.
And let me just comment on that. Matt and I have been going back and forth. Turns out that the application was in on time. He had initially thought it was not. But if I look at the rules of procedure closely, he can recommend that the applicant meet with the HPC. He is not required to have the applicant meet with the HPC in a design review. So given,
Right.
and he's in Greensboro, just to change some windows. And so I thought we could look at it, see what it's about, and see if we have any issues, and then go from there.
Right, they're just required to send us a written request to conduct our discussion without them present.
Yeah, we looked
Because
at,
again, you know, design review, there's no public comment or any input from the public. It's just us and them. And so if they're willing to have us have the discussion without them, just amongst ourselves.
Which is tough to answer questions or anything else.
Right.
But
Yeah, then we'll just have to imagine what their answer.
but we talked about Zoom yesterday, but there's some issues in this, by using this room with Zoom, we really don't have a setup
That's right.
to record what they say or show their image.
The entire meeting goes through this microphone, so you guys would have to yell loud enough for it to, so it's like, no, yes.
So we made a decision yesterday, but if they proceed to the hearing, they'll have to be at the hearing. Somebody will have to be.
And so this is their request there, and in the end, after I looked at this and discussed it with them over multiple emails, it wasn't a repair job replacing windows, it wasn't replacement in kind because the material was different. So the existing windows are wood. The building was built in 1997, according to the GIS, the county records. The material they are proposing was available in 1995. So that means that it meets the requirement of a material that was available at the time the building was built. So that was the hang-up that went back and forth for quite a while before we figured that out. And then, so then I had to tell them that since window replacements aren't on the minor work list, they had to come in and for a major. So I would like to discuss that then later as potentially the kind of thing we can make a minor in the future. But
Well,
now,
I think that, unfortunately, I asked that we delay our minor works change last month because there were some back and forth about issues. Wanted to see it in front of us, and one of those would have been that Matt could change congruous to congruous material, which this would be.
one congruous material for another. So,
So if we
that's
pass
what-
that at the next meeting, we'll cover that.
So the only other issue, and I think Jim brought this up, was he noticed that you can't tell if the muntins have the three-dimensional characteristic and the shadow bar, which is the piece, what they call the piece in between the two panes of glass. Because they typically don't describe that and when they're describing the project, and then they typically don't even have it when they're telling their installation people what to install, et cetera, et cetera. Even the order, and then it only comes down to the order form, which is full of codes, right? Letter codes. So it just turns out to be almost impossible to figure out. So we will ask them.
Yeah, it does say grills between glass. So that to me
Oh, is
means
that
shadow
what
bar.
GBG means?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I bought Anderson windows. And we were very well versed.
Yeah, okay. All right, so we have that, but we don't know about the profile.
Yeah,
So
it
that's
didn't-
the
it
only
didn't
thing that's left for them to clarify.
Right.
So what material is this? Is this
It's
the
Fibrex, which is a combination of wood fiber, wood
and plastic?
and
Yeah.
polymers. Yeah, wood.
Yeah.
In one case, they just described it as vinyl,
And it's
wood and vinyl,
in our,
Don't they use sawdust to do that?
probably,
Yeah.
wood fiber.
Only when they can't get the cheap stuff.
A slurry, a wood slurry.
but it is, I mean, the appearance looks like a painted window.
Yeah. Well, Jim, you own them, right?
Yes.
Is it paintable?
Well, they can make it.
No, I mean, is it, can
I believe
the
so.
property owner paint it, or is it like a
I believe
a
so.
vinyl that's very difficult to paint?
We didn't get into that. I
Okay.
can't say for
All right.
sure.
Have you needed to paint yours, and how old are yours?
2 years.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so, all right.
But I mean, I'm happy, but it has nothing to do with this. But this is not, it's not a contributing structure, number one. Number two, for at least three of us, do you remember the Queens Point condos came to us and asked if they could use contemporary materials on their balconies? And we agreed back then, 6-8 years ago.
Because it's a non-contributing structure.
Yeah. And so there is some contemporary material there.
Yeah, I mean, to me, the big thing is if they're maintaining the same sash styles.
They are.
There's such a wide lane for non-contributing structures. To me, that's the biggest thing, is maintaining the same sash styles.
Right. And so that's why it went back and forth between us for a while, because they were that close to exact replacement in kind.
Yeah.
So,
It has a screen. It's
so it's operable, all that.
so it's 3 by 2 on the top and nothing on the bottom. So
Which is the way they are now.
right, and these are secondary and tertiary on the building.
Correct. Correct.
Does that make a difference? He's replacing windows all around?
No.
Okay.
I don't think so.
Just asking.
And it's just one owner within the condo. It's,
Okay.
it's not changing.
Yeah, so it's a total of 11 windows for their one unit.
So any issues with this going to the hearing?
No.
Yeah.
And then we'll try to address that in that minor works list. Congruous to congruous material.
Cool.
All right.
Okay.
So I added even more stuff that was in the folder to this presentation in case something came
Yeah.
up.
Saw that, yeah.
So we get to zoom through all of that. So with that, we are down to board discussion items. There's no informal design discussion people here today.
And Wade is not coming? Yeah, I thought Wade was here. He jumped right over that. I'm thinking, well, we're ready for you if you are.
Yeah.
You could wait a while. You're on HBC, you're used to waiting, so.
I still gotta get the presentation on your flash drive.
Oh,
And let me just ask, are you familiar with that finding that we got from Park Service for the building on Craven Street about the bricks?
The one, you talking about Front Street?
Yeah,
not on our agenda. It was
206 Craven, I think.
206 Craven Street, the one building where they did put,
Can you talk in the microphone, guys?
yeah, the one building where they did put the stain on the masonry on the brick. You're familiar with that? And then what he's actually specifically asking about is the email with the Park Service, where the Park Service suggested that they used stain.
And the applicant had not come to us.
Right.
Went straight to them, and apparently not to SHPO either.
No,
So it really raised a lot of issues, particularly in town, about treating bricks.
right.
Because it was a tax credit project.
And I think that's why they went to the MPS first. They were probably confused that they had to talk to everybody.
Yeah.
Because MPS is the one that, I mean, it's that those half the credits come from the Fed.
Yeah, they were very
we understand
well-intentioned, well-intentioned,
Yeah.
but just got down that path, and then she said what they wanted to hear.
Yeah, I was blind copied on the email with
Okay.
our TPS specialist with MPS, and I didn't know I was blind, and I just responded anyway. So I opened the SHPO can of worms on that email. But she was fully willing to talk to me. I offered to come to the property, but I haven't heard back.
Well,
So
it's done.
yeah,
And from the HPC standpoint, we did deny it, but acknowledged there's nothing we can do about it.
Right, right.
Almost like denying an already demolished storage shed.
Right.
Yeah.
But we appreciate you coming down. Thank you.
Yeah, those folks could have benefited from this talk.
And if you notice, we've got a lot of murals now, but we're only, if they come to us, only allowing them on previously painted masonry.
Yeah.
And so ideally, we would hopefully maybe ask you to come back and do some presentations to a couple of local neighborhood organizations.
Yeah, sure.
Maybe you can invite 2 organizations. 2 neighborhoods.
He's going to put this on the flash drive.
Sure.
This weekend, we're all going to go over to Tim's house and paint his house. We're going to go
Is
paint
this
Tim's house this weekend.
Paint party.
Anywhere you want.
That's it, though, right?
Right, Tim?
Someone else.
Okay.
We're going to go to your house this weekend, to paint your house.
It's a stowaway.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
I got some latex left over. I think it'll be perfect.
Spring rainy coming.
Exactly.
And you would have needed it.
Toyota Newburgh are looking for some billboards.
Well, I'm glad we talked about this.
Any paint can only be
So anybody want to, anybody want to go
I mean, you don't have to come before.
What's that?
use the restroom?
Yeah, just remember the mics are on. We're still having our meeting, so.
Still blinking away here.
Yep.
Yeah.
What you get for a 3 terabyte file.
We're way ahead of.
Don't be intimidated by the amount of slides. This is not my paint program. I've been in the field most of the last 3 months and haven't had time to build my own. So this is Reed Thomas's, and I'm going to scroll through the ones that I think are pertinent for New Bern. So you're not going to have to hear me talk about all 146 of these.
That's a bonus.
Yeah.
I might enjoy that, though.
You're better than what we usually have to look at.
John, you're welcome.
What's that, Richard?
Better than what we usually have to look at.
I'm charging for rents like a residential.
Right on the chalkboard.
Yeah, pricing will show, I mean, it'll just show
If
what's
we have
advertised.
catered dinner, I can be in.
Commercial, but not residential.
While
Do I
we're
just
kind
take
of
it
in a
out, or do I
break-
have to release it?
While we're kind of in a break, I do want to remind you, Tuesday night, 5:30 is the public hearing.
That's
on-
here.
Right here on the
Safe to remove.
There you go.
update to the design principles and standards, so please make every effort. If we don't have a quorum, we can't have a public hearing, so please come.
That's the thing you say.
Postpone my trip.
July 7th.
And then I'll ask Matt also on the July agenda, be sure to include elections, Matt, elections in the July agenda.
Oh, did everybody get reappointed? Yeah.
What's
You
that?
got kicked off, I think.
Did everybody get
You
reappointed?
got kicked off, I think.
Awesome.
Mr. Chair, out of curiosity, is there a time limit for public comments at that meeting next week?
4 minutes, we're going to try a soft 4 minutes.
So is the plan that Jessica is going to do an opening presentation?
That's what she told us.
Right, and then we'll
Will I
turn
be
it
able to
over
click
and
through it, or do I
we'll
have to
take
have you do
comments, which
All right.
are going to be recorded,
Right.
but we should probably try to write them down best we can
Yes,
too.
yeah, we need a list.
How many postcards did you have?
I already tested,
What's that?
Delete it when you're done.
Postcards did you get from the city?
but I didn't change.
I got 4. My neighbor got 2.
Why'd you get 4?
I have no idea.
It's the same address? All to you?
Oh, man.
Cool.
This is now
I just thought what a
I
waste
guess
of money.
that's pretty important.
So you ready?
I want to make sure I came.
Okay, open.
Yep. Well, while that's opening, I'll go ahead and introduce myself for those that don't know me. My name's Wade Rogers. I'm a restoration specialist with the State Historic Preservation Office. But more importantly, I grew up here. I'm from New Bern, came here in 1990, and started work at 14, started volunteering at Trime Palace, so I got right into the history field literally as early as you can, and worked there for about 10 years doing mostly in their trades programs, was at blacksmithing, textiles, conservation, and carpentry. And from there, went to East Carolina, got a public history degree, and kind of bounced around for a few years afterwards trying to find, the economic recession. There was very few museum jobs out there when I graduated. I eventually found my way into the historic film industry. A friend of mine, we did most of the visitor center films for Revolutionary War museums up and down the East Coast. So Mount Vernon, Museum of American Revolution in Philadelphia, the Boston Tea Party Museum, but mostly just always going back to Mount Vernon. It was there I kind of honed my skills of reproducing historic items for screen, for museums, for display. And eventually we kind of stumbled into our first old house. We bought it. It was my wife's idea. I said, I'm never going to be done with this thing. This is a terrible idea. Because we had then lived in Ernle in a brick ranch. And within 3 months of sending people photographs and asking questions about historic details, I realized it was what I call the dormant disease that had lied within me all along. It included everything I learned at Trime Palace and all the things I loved, but neatly contained in one box. It was ironwork, it was fabric, it was wood, and it was history. So totally fell in love with it. Satisfies a lot of needs. From there, I went straight into more old houses. I couldn't get enough of it. We bought one in Martin County that was covered in vines, started work on that one, specifically focusing on early structures. And eventually that caught the eyes of locals. I started doing preservation in Edenton, North Carolina, at the Cupola House. I was part of the team that brought back the historic woodwork that the Brooklyn Museum had for 108 years, Richard?
Well, yeah, about that.
It was a long time.
Over 100 years.
So I was part of the team that brought that woodwork back from Brooklyn and took the reproduction woodwork out and prepped the space for the introduction of the original woodwork, which is now ongoing. And I was also involved with the Cadish Church, AME Zion Cadish Church restoration that was knocked off its foundation by Isabel. It got a grant for Sacred Spaces grant for maybe $5 million. It's an amazing preservation project there in Edenton. And I was also consulting at the recently, as of 2003, Hayes Plantation, which is owned by the state of North Carolina, doing consulting and hands-on work there. We finished our house in Edenton, we moved in, and I was done working in the field for a little while, got the job with SHPO in December. So if you're not familiar with what SHPO does, about 40% of what we do is state tax credits and federal tax credits. Great thing if you see someone come before you and if they're a private owner and they're doing more than $10,000 in work, suggest they contact the office. Because while you guys don't have interior purview, if they're doing tax credits, I do, and I can make sure historic fabric doesn't get just gutted wholesale, and we can work with them to just get a good plan to save as much historic fabric as possible. And other than that, helping folks like you guys out and just visiting property owners that own historic buildings and consulting and offering technical advice. And also, I was on the Bath HPC for a couple years, the whole time we lived in Bath. That was where we had our first old house. I was the chair there briefly before we moved to Edenton, and I'm on the Edenton HPC currently. So I know the struggle.
Pure joy.
Pure joy, yeah. It's an important job, though.
I think he mentioned to me that he was preparing some work, so a report or some presentation for the Edenton HPC about paint. And I said, opportunity.
Yep.
This is your dry run, so to say.
This is this is more professional than Edenton's HPC. I mean, this is a much nicer building. We don't have computer screens, so.
Not by our choice, by the way.
Not by your choice. Oh, we're analog in Edenton. Maybe we should enjoy that more. Anyway, since it's such a small group, I want this to be a little more informal, so feel free to just ask questions as it comes through, and I promise I won't go through all 146 slides. If there's a latex paint salesman in the audience, I mean to offend you.
Totally clear.
Right.
The difficulties of being an HPC is advising folks to keep their wood siding, keep their wooden windows, keep their architectural details. But then one of the things we totally overlook, and it's often a minor work, is still a minor work in most. Is it still paint? Is it still a minor work here?
It's not even, it's just maintenance.
It's just maintenance. Heavily overlooked for decades, and I think it's because we have not fully, or we're just now fully realizing the damage that these plastic paints cause to historic fabric. So we're being now reactionary. I'm being reactionary and telling you guys that this stuff is truly destroying our historic towns, our historic details. The shed on Avenue A, that was probably covered with latex paint, and the termites got in because it's always wet, ate it to pieces. If they had a proper paint finish on that building, it might be standing. But, you know, demanding folks keep their wooden siding and their wooden windows, but not being able to ask them to consider better paints or having no purview over those paints, I feel like is a big missed opportunity, because it just starts a cycle of frustration where, of course, the window rots out, of course, the siding rots out, the homeowner doesn't fully understand what's happening, and it's just this cycle of, can I please do replacement windows? This stuff doesn't rot. When the real problem, it's not the wood, it's not the old windows, it's definitely the paint. The first slide you're seeing, this is the Penelope Barker house on the waterfront in Edenton. And which elevation? The western elevation, the nice looking elevation, that's linseed oil paint. And on the northern elevation, that's peeling, chippy latex paint. So, you can go to the next slide, Matt. That's another one. We can skip on with this. This is the St. Paul's Rectory in Edenton. That's how it looked with this failing paint. The glazing putty's failing out of the windows. The door was so rotten when they turned the key and pushed the door open, the hinges were rotted off, so the door just fell into the room. The termites had gone up and down that so badly because all that latex paint was trapping moisture in the wood siding and the wooden timbers. So I'm sure you've seen buildings like this around town.
Okay.
Matt, this is another building. They did a really good job.
So you're a big fan of the linseed products?
I am. Yep. Yeah,
And you've been using them all along in your different houses?
Yep. When we bought our first old house, I told myself, and I told my wife, she rolled her eyes, I said, I want to get the best paint on planet Earth for this house, because I finally now understand how important these old buildings are. And I was truly thinking the top of the line Valspar. That's what I had in my head. And I thankfully didn't get around to painting the house the first year, but it was the second and third year. I found linseed oil paint. There was a friend painting their house up in New Jersey. They had a 1820s tavern they were restoring, and it totally clicked. I got I use linseed oil all the time at Tryon Palace for woodwork, for furniture restoration, and I said, of course, this makes sense. It's of the period. It's compatible, so it works.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just curious.
It's linseed oil mixed with just linseed oil.
So linseed oil paint is linseed oil and natural pigments. And that's all it is. You can thin it down with turpentine to make it grow or go a little further, but that's all linseed oil paint is. And it's almost, that's the point. We've had, going all the way back to cave paintings where they're mixing oil with charcoal. That stuff still survives. The stuff in Pompeii, whether it was a distemper or an oil paint, that stuff still survives. The plastic paints just aren't going to survive the same, but the oil paint has this long lifespan of continued use, this institutional knowledge that the world has kind of forgotten since post-World War II. We've totally transitioned to modern synthetic paints.
So like the oil paint that people buy, it's not linseed, but what's the difference between linseed oil paint and regular oil prime kind of paint?
And excuse me, we do suggest stuff like sometimes, I mean, not everybody's the case for linseed oil paint. I feel like still, as of today, it's still a very niche product. But like a Cabot oil solid stain, I'll suggest that on a huge building, while I know linseed oil is the best, but it's hard to convince property owners or huge investors if they're restoring, like a huge cotton mill for apartments. It's hard to convince them to use this niche organic type product. But oil paints nowadays, they're polymers, oil polymers. They're not bad. They're not the best. Linseed oil is the best because it allows that the wood to breathe the most. But it's still acceptable. Yeah.
So go ahead.
Linseed oil is more expensive than oil paint.
Maybe. Hold on. Throat's getting dry.
Let me apologize for making you stand the microphone.
Oh, no. This is fun. I sit all day. So the point with linseed oil is it is very expensive. When you look, you're buying it by the 3-liter bucket, which is less than a gallon, and it's usually like $189 or $200, and then you still got to pay to ship it. That sounds crazy. What you need to look at is break it down by square footage. That's the key. Because linseed oil paint goes double to triple the square footage of latex paint. The building you have in front of you, I could paint that one coat on that entire facade with probably 1 3-liter can of paint. And you'd probably need 2 to 3 gallons of latex paint for a single coat. And then every successive coat, you need about 3 coats for a linseed oil finish. Every successive coat needs less and less paint. To the last coat, that 3rd coat, you're basically just slicking it on, and it goes so far. You're brushing 90% of the time and dipping 10% of the time. So it really drags really far.
So Wade, are you finding two questions? Are you starting to see local businesses stock linseed oil paint?
Not yet.
Okay.
Not yet. I still think it's still niche enough. But what I have seen is when I first started painting with linseed oil paint, I'm preparing our 4th building to have painted with linseed oil paint. When I first bought it, there was 1 company, and now there's 5 or 6. Brune, Earth and Flax, solvent-free paints. There's a place called Heron, and Sage Restoration carries linseed oil paint now.
And where are they all located? Are they East Coast?
Yeah, most of them are up somewhere up north, New York, Philadelphia. Okay. Yeah.
Are painting contractors reluctant to try it?
They are. Yeah.
So Jim sent it to Pennsylvania next week. Maybe you can bring a load back.
Yeah.
You could bring
You can sell it out of the back to pickup trucks.
So does it last longer too?
Yeah. Yeah.
Between painting?
Yeah, it does last longer. Matt, could you go through a couple slides? Trying to.
Same house.
So this is the same house. This is one of our. This is our preservation architect in our office. This is her heritage family home that she had restored, and I think this is a breathable solid stain. So just keep going through this.
So is there such a thing as linseed oil stain, or is that just
linseed oil stain?
Or you said it was a breathable stain, not a linseed oil paint.
Yeah. So it's probably like that Cabot solid stain,
okay,
or it's something like a Super Deck 9600. That's a Sherwin-Williams product. One of their solid stains. Anything classified as a deck stain is just rebranded 1920s paint. And I got that straight from a Sherwin-Williams rep who let it slide. He said, we don't make much money on the old style paint, even though it's better. What we make great money on is stuff that you have to repaint every 7 years.
Yeah.
So when you have existing buildings that have either oil or latex on it, do you have to take it down to the bare wood for this linseed paint to really be effective?
Yes. However, and I'm trying to get North Carolina Historic Sites to figure out this concept as well. That's a huge expense, especially if you have a large house, to totally scrape it down to bare wood. And if you can do it, great. You're going to get the max amount of, the bang for your buck. You're going to get it. However, it's just important to change paint campaigns, because I like to think long term. If you're working on that house and other people buy it, in 100 years, eventually, if you change the course of the house, you'll have scraped enough paint off that house that it's now mostly the right paint. So there's, I guess that's a low twitch method. Fast twitch would be to scrape it all at once and paint it in a full campaign.
But linseed oil paint will adhere to.
It'll adhere to anything.
Other paints.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Linseed oil paint will adhere straight to metal. There's no primer involved. The only primer for linseed oil is the oil, or is linseed oil diluting the same paint you use. So it's a 50-50, and you just kind of drench the building with linseed oil and linseed oil paint, and then put the full strength paint on.
Mm-hmm. And what do you cut it with, 50-50?
Just the linseed oil. Okay. So you get a bucket from Ottoson is one of my favorite companies, and I get the Ottoson linseed oil, and I just do a 50-50 mix, and it's very semi-opaque. When you're brushing it on, it looks like a deck stain. You can see all the wood grain through it. But what it does is it's pushing all that oil deep down into the core of those wood fibers and rejuvenating it, giving it some flexibility back, and preserving it. This is a Rosenwald school in, I think, Hamilton. Yeah. I'm not quite tall enough for that. This was a full restoration. They got a lot of grant funding for this. Looks like, vinyl siding all over that. And they painted it with latex. You go to the next one, looks great. They did a great job. And if you go to the next one, this is within 6 years, and that's something you guys have seen walking around town. This is really, you got to think of wrapping a house with plastic paint. That water just can't get out, and it'll shatter that paint, peel the paint. Actually, this is a better condition for this building currently than it was when it was first painted, because what was going to rot has rotted, and the rest is being able to dry out for the most part because the paint is shattered. One of the Reed Thomas has said the best kind of latex paint you can put on a building is the cheapest stuff, so it falls off quicker and you can start making better decisions.
So those people, and I think there's some of us that are sitting up here, who use an oil prime with a latex cover, or have been doing that. If you were going to switch to a linseed oil paint, do you have to go to the bare? Would you have to take the old oil prime off for the linseed oil to be effective? Or will it absorb through the oil prime?
It won't absorb as well through the oil primer, but you could still go over the oil primer. Okay. It's better than just going over the latex paint.
So
I can got it.
Have you had any experience with linseed oil paint on pressure-treated wood? Because that's one of the things that folks wrestle with a whole lot, is they put up pressure-treated wood, which is marginal at best these days.
Yeah.
And, within 5 years, it's rotted out.
So if I was to paint, and I have painted pressure-treated wood with linseed oil, you still want to wait for that stuff to dry a little bit, because even though it's breathable, you want most of that moisture to get out before you coat it, because any kind of coating on wood is going to reduce its breathability somewhat. Linseed oil, it just happens to be the best at doing that. But just like all the deck stains suggest, wait 6 months for the stuff to dry out a bit, and then you can paint right over it. And what I've found is the best, and I recommend this all the time in our HPC meetings, especially when people are using the posts for decks or porch posts, is start to use CCA treated material. You guys are lucky. You have Decks and Dock here in town, and they sell that heavy CCA treated material. And I've used that almost exclusively on our porch posts, railings, pickets, steps, and the bulkhead rated material actually has tighter growth rings than your standard just treated material.
Not familiar with CCA treated. Is that a different wood material?
It's
treated differently?
It's treated like the old treated material used to be, the stuff where you have to wear a mask while using this stuff. It's treated with arsenic and copper. It's the dark green stuff. It's mostly intended for bulkhead, and when I buy it, I have to not tell them what I'm working on because it's intended for bulkheads, but I'll cut it up to make fence posts and fence pickets and all kinds of stuff. But yeah, most people either come to New Bern or they go to Eatonton to go to Kellogg to get bulkhead material. There's very few places that sell it. So,
but will linseed oil paint make, the pressure treated lumber that you would get at Lowe's, will it make it last longer? Does it have any effect on that?
Yeah, it will. And I guess that's a wood quality question, right? Stuff is just not good quality anymore. There's a slide, it's somewhere lost in these slides, but it's a historic smokehouse that has knotty sapwood that's totally unpainted, and I think maybe they put tar paint on it. It's doing fine. It's not rotting. It's able to breathe. It's able to dry out. The problem, especially here on Belmont, on that corner board there, or the where the siding meets the window, is that was low quality, pithy wood, and capped with plastic, and it just soaked it in. It never dried out, and it rotted. So it's when you have bad quality wood mixed with improper coatings, that's the key. That's the kiss of death. This is Reed Thomas's house. He talked with the folks at Williamsburg and Mount Vernon, and they said you need an oil primer and you need latex paint, the best, thickest latex paint you can afford. And he did that on this 1820s house in Martin County, and the stuff just started peeling off in sheets. I don't really have any science to back up this theory, but I think in southern homes, the resinous yellow pine just kind of sheds this paint a lot more frequently than it would if it was softer, pithier pine, because you have all those, they make turpentine, tar, and pitch out of longleaf yellow pine. So all those resins, it's not a really good thing for plastic to stick to.
What about cypress wood? Because, of course, we have a lot of cypress wood around here as well, historically.
Mm-hmm. You mean latex on cypress?
Well, yes.
From my experience in Eatonton, lots of buildings, they went to the nth degree buying really expensive cypress, and then they coated it with latex paint. Still rots, even though it has those rot-resistant properties to those swamp trees. It'll still get it. Our house in Eatonton was totally covered with 200-year-old cypress, and they put latex paint all over it. And all those little corners got crunchy, and I had to weave in new siding and put linseed oil paint on it.
Did you take the rest down to bare wood?
I did.
Yikes.
Yeah. We can go to the next slide now. This is a homestead. This is probably the only other house in Eatonton that's painted entirely with linseed oil paint. It had this crazing. You see the before. Very common occurrence where you just have those multiple coats. All that stuff was pretty stable. All the alkalids, all the oils. So you got the 1920s paints all the way back to 1773. All those paints are pretty stable until you put latex paint over them. And that's when you see the total delamination of huge patches, because the water gets underneath there and it just lifts all the old paint, and you start seeing massive failure. The best way to describe this, I've found, is that before picture is water can get in very easily. It's like folding up a big tarp in your yard, and you forget to put it away, and you get a rainstorm. Inevitably, even though it's waterproof, rain will get into every crack, every fold of that tarp. The only way for it to dry out is to fold it out, or unfold it, lay it in the sun for it to dry. Water will get in all these little cracks somehow, I guess just by gravity running down the weatherboards, and it gets totally trapped in there, and it can't get out. Matt brought us to a building, is it 718 Main Street, Dryboro?
Oh, yeah.
And maybe 618. It had an 18. I know it had an 18. It had the big plate glass windowsills, storefront building. Had such thick mill latex paint that you could almost pick it up like a bed sheet off of the windowsill. The windowsills were pithy and soft. It was a hot day. Hadn't rained in a couple. I mean, we were in a drought at that point. Not now. I was able to put my hand under there, and it was humid. It was humid under there. All of that water is being trapped underneath and slowly rotting away all this historic fabric in town.
So if you have a man-made product like hardy board and you put latex paint on it,
and it'll rot.
It'll rot.
It'll rot. It'll rot slower because it's hardy board's not a wood fiber, and wood fibers, it's a tree. Water's supposed to move through it. But I've seen hardy board rot with non-breathable paints on it as well. So we can go to the next one. Skip that one. Skip that one. Keep going. Keep going. I think that's Little Washington, maybe. No, I'm sorry. That's here.
That's first pres, yeah.
That's it. Yeah. I don't have my notes. Okay, this is, everybody knows Hope Plantation. They have done linseed oil paint on the interior, which looks nice. Another great benefit of linseed oil paint is you're not having chemically injected colorant into your paint. This stuff just kind of has a flat appearance, and it's kind of hard to describe until you've actually seen it and compared the two. Linseed oil paint is ground minerals. It's ground pigments. Ochres come from the earth, whether it's an oxide or whatever. It has a more three-dimensional reflective quality, and it's brighter. It's not monochromatic, kind of a dead tone plastic color that most exterior paint has nowadays. So we can keep going, Matt. Keep going. Yep.
7 to 10 years.
Yep. You got rot on the windowsills at Hope. Well-funded, highly researched building. You're still getting rot because you're using the wrong coatings.
A 10-year time span.
Mm-hmm.
I have some notes.
Yeah. You have the notes, yeah.
Yeah. 12 years after.
You can see the pinholes on the sash there, slowly rotting. And this is our office. This has been in neglect for so many years. It's now becoming a case study, and there's so many photos of the Humber House in everybody's slides. It's almost sad. It's looking better, though. We'll keep going from there. So the Humber House got the loose paint was scraped by hand. It was washed with a power washer. Mildewcide was put on to stop all the mildew. 1 coat alkylate primer, which is probably your oil primer, and then 2 coats of semi-gloss high-quality latex paint. And we'll go to the next one. And in 3 years, we're starting to see flaking. That's probably old paint surfaces now delaminating because they're trapped underneath this non-breathable coating. And you see all the mildew coming up from the weatherboards, starting to replace porch flooring where the rain's beating down on it, and then it got really bad.
Yikes.
This was before my time.
So we see 2016, what was the first year it was painted?
So 2013 was painted, 2016, this is what it looks like 3 years later.
So what is causing the mildew? Is it because of the latex paint?
It can't breathe.
Trapping moisture?
That has something to do with it. I kind of wonder on this project in particular if state contract they kind of just forced cheaper paint, the cheapest latex paint. I know state contract for Sherwin-Williams, we get our paint for $7 a gallon, and it's the cheapest that they have, and it just does this. If you go to historic sites, you go to Somerset Plantation, if you go to the Bath Historic Site, they kind of mildew like this just because I think those paints, the state contract paints, have the mildew aside. They don't have that in there, or they have clearly not enough. A side note, linseed oil paint done improperly will also do this. And this is also a good reason.
When you say improper, what's that way?
So improper if you don't scrub the mildew that's already on the siding, because everything has mildew. If you look at, like a cedar roof that's gray, the gray is actually decay. And you got to scrub the mildew off, and it'll show its real color. So scrubbing it off with like a Dawn soap or a linseed oil soap, they make that too, before you were to trap all that mildew underneath the latex paint. It just has to come through. So your highest end latex paints have enough mildew aside in it that it doesn't do this, while linseed oil paint still has enough proteins in it that it will slowly mildew a little bit, and you just have to wash it. That's the one negative thing I've experienced about linseed oil paint. The caveat to that is I would much rather scrub my house every few years to get the mildew off than take off siding that's rotting.
Can you add an additive of mildew in the linseed oil?
I was suggested by Earth and Flax to coat the whole house with boric acid because that's a mildew-aside. I've also used copper naphthenate, which is a copper-based wood preservative, and that seems to help. Our current house in Edenton has a paint job of about 2 years old at this point, and there's no real mildew showing up.
So you would use those before you paint?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
As a wood treatment?
Yeah, as a wood treatment. And another thing, especially in Edenton, I know you guys have so many more buildings than we do, and there's a varied color scheme here in town. But most buildings in Edenton are white bodies with black shutters. That's all it is. And historically, that's not how most of our early architecture was. I started doing research on early architecture in Edenton and discovered that most of the shutters were actually vividly green, as Richard knows, and the bodies were actually mildew colored. So kind of a gray tan color. They knew it was happening. They knew they had to deal with it, so they just kind of got ahead of it and started painting it a mildew color. They did practical stuff like this all the time, and I think anytime we can kind of go back to history, study original colors of our houses, and paint them like that, there will be a reason they did that.
Makes sense.
So we got, keep going through this. It's a preservation brief. At the very end, this is more crazing, cross-grain cracking, where water can get in, start delaminating that paint. Keep more of that.
And you call it crazing is kind of that alligator-ish before it gets out of hand, the beginnings of it.
Right, and usually that happens concentrated around where the old paint is as well. If you paint it over, like if you have a guy scrape and there's patches where he didn't get, that stuff will then fall off with more latex paint. It'll craze.
That previous one, was that in 3 years too? It literally was coming off the door in 3 years?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that's what I've been told. I did not work there then, but skip a few, the next one. So another thing to keep in mind is interior water vapor. While you have the rainwater and of course the humidity that we now have here, now that we're in summer, you have people sweat, they make humidity. You're making tea in the house, you're cooking. People are just living in there, you're having showers. All that stuff causes humidity. And historic houses, as they were built, you're supposed to deal with this. You have your plaster. If it's not coated on the inside with a non-breathable paint, that lime is supposed to draw the moisture. It goes through the plaster and it dissipates through the wall void out the weatherboards. Because if you don't caulk the bottom of the weatherboards, the whole house acts as venting all the way up and down. And if it's the same way...
And no insulation.
No insulation, or some insulation. I have ideas about that.
Yeah, insulation gets wet from the mildew inside the walls, and it's a problem.
It's a big problem. Though I think the worst kind of insulation you can put, blown in is probably the worst. But the pink stuff is the second worst because it's not rigid. And if it does get wet, if you get water infiltration, it'll sag, it'll stay there like a sponge, and it'll rot out your sills, and then you got a very expensive problem. The stuff I love is rock wool sound insulation board. It's 1.5 inches thick. I cut it with a machete, and you just draw your line, you break it, and it friction fits in place. And it's made out of spun mineral wool. I guess it's modern day asbestos. But it breathes, it doesn't hold water, it doesn't mold, and it's fire retardant. People even use it as backing when they're soldering. So it doesn't, it's really good at a
And they
fire.
make that in soft rolls too.
They do make it in soft rolls. I use soft rolls for the top of the building and for the underneath, and the wall voids I'll use that comfort bat. But the nice thing I like about the comfort bat is I push it up to the plaster. It's breathable, so your vapors can still go in and out of the building, but you're leaving a good gap between your weatherboards and that insulation, so the convection of the hot and cool air and your wall voids can still continue pushing that hot air up to the building and out in the ridge.
I know you mentioned underneath the house insulation. There's two schools of thought on that, whether to insulate or not insulate.
There is, yeah. We insulate under our house because...
You're talking about like underneath the floors kind of thing?
Yeah, just for draft proofing. I feel like as long as the building can breathe under, you're good. As long as you're not putting house wrap up underneath, and if humidity gets down there, as long as it's dry, as long as you're not having moisture problems down there, check it. If it becomes a problem, take the insulation out, because it'll rot your seals and joist out.
And do you use rock wool for that as well?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
The board?
Yeah, and I like it because it doesn't sag and fall.
Yeah,
you don't have to use the iron pins that inevitably fall out, get rusty, and stab your leg when you're crawling down there next time. So, good. Yeah.
All right.
Keep going.
2 years.
Yep. That's another one of the rectory in Edenton. These are Reed's photos. This is of his house.
So that's the icicles thing.
Yeah. Always some tongue-in-cheek with Reed. And this is what we were talking about, the 20th century life, which is, I understand, absolutely necessary. While I am a purist in our old house, I do realize that if I don't restore it at a certain period or to a certain point, it's not a valid house on the marketplace when I leave, and I know someone else is not going to be as sympathetic to that house as I am. So I've just kind of arranged our house with the systems. It's a good house, I think, and no one else has to come in and do a full renovation because of all my weird preservation hacks I did all over the place. So we do have running water, air conditioning, and heat.
That's a bonus.
Climate control is a big one. People over-condition their buildings or sometimes under-condition the buildings, which doesn't get that humidity out of the building. But anything you add into a historic building it changes the whole dynamic. Something that will happen. It's that equal or opposite reaction. So while it's nice to be cool in the summer, keeping it just struggling to keep up on the hottest days and just struggling to warm the house on the coldest days. That's what we say is the equilibrium point for HVAC climate control.
As little of each as possible.
Until MJ.
Yeah.
This is interesting.
Yep. So all that humid air that's going up through Reed's wall voids, and it's the vents through the uncaulked weatherboards. It makes its way up to the ridge, and it's pushing all that air out. If he doesn't have adequate ventilation, that air carries humidity, and it's going to rot out your gable end boards there.
Of course, all the humidity also, just like from showers and cooking and such, also go up your stairways and eventually reach the attic too.
Absolutely. Yep. So this is a good one for insulation. This is the Norfleet House in Edgecombe County. Oh yeah, there's the thing. And you can see some staining underneath that right-hand window. If you go to the next slide, Matt. This is Rick Lambeth. He is a preservation contractor, a restoration contractor in Edgecombe County, and they had smashed insulation as full as you can, both to the weatherboards and to the, looks like drywall on the inside. It got wet and major rot happened. You can see the interior wicking up. That's why that gap in your weatherboards is very important, because water's going to get in one way or the other. That's the thing. If you take anything home from tonight, water's going to get in your house. It's just a matter of when and where, and you just need to let it to dissipate and not stay.
So, correct me, do you say you should caulk the underneath the horizontals? Not caulk.
So I wouldn't ever caulk a horizontal seam on a building ever, because the water is going to get behind it somehow. It'll find a way, gravity will push it, and then it'll be trapped.
Right.
And if you do, they make linseed caulk as well, which is breathable, and it holds up about as good as modern caulk, except it's not heavy latex. So we can start scrolling through these. I want to get to the lime wash one. Well, there's your wood quality. This is old flooring, 1820s flooring, and that's of course like Lowe's shiplap there. And I think this might be Washington County, Richard. What's that little Davenport Homestead?
Oh, yeah, that's in Washington County.
Yeah, I think that's Davenport Homestead. Unpainted building with rich southern yellow pine, probably longleaf pine. It's never been painted, and that's the way it is. I actually had a point. Which one was it? The intersection of Highway 43 and Spring Garden Road. That house that's been in decay for as long as I can remember. I mean, I think it's been at least 40 years. It's been in decay. Mm-hmm. If that house was covered in latex paint, it would be on the ground decades ago. So I always think about that house. Why is it not on the ground? And about a year ago, it kind of hit me. It totally missed the latex paint.
The house he's talking about is on Streets Ferry Road.
Yeah, right at near the light.
Right where Spring Garden splits off.
Oh, yeah. I know what you're talking about. Yeah. I was wondering what that one does.
Didn't there used to be a tobacco barn next to it or something that did fall down?
Maybe, yeah. And it will fall because it's not dry.
Yeah.
But it would have fallen way sooner had it been covered with insulation and latex paint. And this is all sapwood on a maybe kitchen somewhere, probably the western part of the state, it looks like.
Oh, that's beautiful stuff.
Good stuff.
That's not.
Good stuff. Keep going, Matt. And this is, I think this is that Rosenwald school. Yep. So you can go back one, Matt. This is another big one. See that windowsill? They were just hoping to stop that draft with that spray foam. That's the worst stuff ever. I would prefer someone put latex paint on a building than fully spray foam the interior of their house. If you look at UK preservation blogs, look at their Facebook groups, they'll go to rethatch one of their 14th century buildings. They pull the thatch off and the roof rafters come with it because they're totally gone. This stuff is liquid plastic, and it's the biggest killer of historic homes. Thankfully, it's not that common here. That's a nice molded windowsill, gone. Two years doing that, and when they scraped it, it's wet, just like I was talking about that storefront in Dryboro. It was like that, but you lift it up, and the whole substrate underneath was soaking wet.
Thick mill.
Yeah, thick mill. All right, so we're here to paint. We've talked about linseed oil paint. Linseed oil paint was pretty much the paint. I think the earliest known, Richard might know better, but the earliest known linseed oil paint I could find for architectural use was 1460. That's when it kind of started becoming a thing. And that was what humans used on all buildings throughout, I guess, Eastern Europe in the influenced world, up until World War II. After World War II, we'd done so much research. We had all these extra chemicals we were dealing with, stuff I don't really understand that well. I just know what they do to buildings. Just started really taking effect. But buildings, rot in buildings is a modern problem. You wouldn't have had porch posts, you wouldn't have had railings, you wouldn't have had period siding left today if latex paint had been invented in the 18th century. It would have all been gone by now. We probably wouldn't have but just a handful of old buildings in downtown New Bern.
The brick ones.
But even the brick ones.
Have wood windows.
Yeah. And wooden trim and wooden joist. So we can skip on to the next one.
So question, the last bullet there. Traditional linseed oil coatings minus the lead.
Mm-hmm.
We've got a lot of houses that have some semblance of lead paint on them. So you're saying that the old lead paints were linseed oil based paints with lead.
Yep.
So is this 100-year-old paint still on there because of the lead or because of the linseed oil or both?
Probably both.
Okay.
If you go back and read these UK kind of nuts contractors and preservationists, there is now a black market for lead linseed oil paint. Because if it's poisonous to you, it's poisonous to everything else. And while it's not the best thing to paint and have paint chips fall, if you stay on top of it, it's stable. If you keep it oiled, it's going to be stable. And it makes nice colors. I haven't used it myself. I've scraped plenty of lead paint wearing proper safety precautions. But yeah, lead is a slightly stronger pigment than now what most linseed oil paints use is they use titanium as their main lead replacement binder, which is not toxic. It's a little more brittle. That's the only thing. So you can't use too much zinc or titanium in your linseed oil paint, and the paint companies have kind of figured this out with the most flexible paint, where your wood is expanding and contracting with moisture, heat, and humidity in the drying cycle.
So what was the lead for coloring, or was it also a protectorate?
Both.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, lead was indoctrinated into every facet of life in those days. Plumbing, it was in the crystal you drank out of if you could afford to have crystal. It was ubiquitous. It was everywhere. So, getting lead oxide, putting it into paint, it's just a waste product, and it happens to make a really great white.
I worked with the architect who restored St. Michael's Church after Hugo, and I've been up the whole tower, and it's got about 20 coats of linseed oil and white lead on it, and he says that's why it's there today. He says,
Probably.
We tried not to disturb it any more than we could.
So I guess you would hope that your paint would be protecting your wood, not destroying it.
Right. Yeah. And I did have a lady from the Washington HBC tell me, she told me if they had hardy board and vinyl windows and latex paint back then, they would have used it. I said, they absolutely would have. But when their houses started rotting or things didn't, it wasn't working with their house, then they would have replaced it because these people were craftsmen and understood what they were doing. So this is the only other thing other than linseed oil paint. This is my cons for linseed oil paint, which there are few in my mind. Other than the mildew, slight mildew issues, which instead of replacing rotten siding, you're having to wash mildew occasionally, is on your dark colors. So if you have like a painted Victorian lady and you have blacks or dark browns or purples or dark blues, they flash a lot quicker than latexes do. And all that is that hot summer sun drawing the oil into the substrate and leaving a dusty pigment on the top. All you need to do is, as thin as possible, wipe linseed oil paint on top, and it'll rehydrate it. It'll re-emulsify all those pigments, and you're good to go.
You're saying that you said flash?
Yeah, flash. That's just like the heat of the sun. And let's say if you've rubbed up against a column, like you lean on an old southern porch, one of the big columns, and you get a white stain on your shirt. That's that flashing. It's the pigment rubbing off.
Like a powdery?
Chalky?
Chalking, flashing.
Similar to fluorescence?
Similar. Efflorescence is typically, there's something moving through the substrate to have efflorescence, yeah, and drying on the surface. So the 1920s, they started producing alkylate paints. These were still pretty good paints. They were commercial. You could mass produce them, and the thing people liked about them is they were slick and hard. They really liked that about alkylate paints. And for the most part, they were fairly breathable. And then post-World War II, you get latex, which we've talked about a bunch.
Is that the house in Overcook?
It's possible. One key thing about latex paint is this has not been a huge problem until the 1990s, because when we updated our VOC laws, and you can't have VOCs, or they've restricted VOCs in latex paint, latex paint is almost totally unbreathable at this point. So, this is the Edward Franklin House in Surrey County. This is a good one. This is, I think, the owner of Cathedral Stone, who's a restoration supplier, mostly masonry products. But he has it's a masonry, it's a ceramic disc that is breathable. And he's put water over it, and of course that's his control. Water will seep through the ceramic disc, you have moisture passage. But if you paint it with latex paint, no air, no water is coming through that disc. It's stopping at that barrier. And this is in Hamilton. That's an unfortunate porch post there. Great building, though. This is one of my favorites. So latex paint on masonry. Bricks can't rot. It's not wood. But what happens to brick on a molecular level is that coating doesn't allow the bricks to dry properly. It'll keep them wet, and when it does dry, whatever's in the water, typically in our area, it's going to be salt. It's going to effloresce on top of the brick, and it's at a microscopic level. If you were to take a microscope and look at it, the salt turns into salt crystals, and it's like little knives, and very slowly they stab the brick until it spalls. You see those powdering bricks. It's like, what happened to that brick? It happened to be one of the softest fired bricks, but if you have a poor coating on masonry, you're going to have this spalling over time, the deterioration of mortar, because it's not able to disperse that moisture like it should be.
Matt, can we get this slide for our stuff?
It's on the thumb drive. Have it.
Can we use that?
Yeah.
That would be powerful.
None of these photos are copyrighted.
Yeah, no. These are all Reed Thomas's photos. This might be Charleston, so have at it. This is a non-breathable coating on a plastered or rendered exterior, and you can see that water bubbling. That anytime you see that sagging bubble, that's water trying to pierce through. It's trying to do what it's going to do, and it's just going to break open the paint, and it's going to bubble just like that.
It's very hard for us to do the right thing.
It looks like the Ream House.
Yep.
Yeah, I really did. I thought it was.
I think it's so hard for us homeowners to do the right thing because we don't have the products available, and I guess some of the knowledge too.
Yeah.
And it sounds like we need lobbyists to speak to paint store
Or an
companies.
HPC, provide some education.
Right, but it's not readily available too, so it's a difficult process.
Well,
I have to wonder what percentage of homeowners in New Bern do all the work themselves. You hire a professional painter, and
they probably don't know.
But the painter doesn't know either.
The painters tell them what to do, and they think they're doing the best thing by buying the highest
They put
grade
the
$70 gallon paint.
Oil-based primer on with a couple coats of high latex.
right?
You just got your house painted, and
Exactly.
that's what you were told.
Don't worry, Jim's going to provide us all what we need.
Well,
And that's absolutely right. I think, Gregory, is what you said. Most of the decisions that are happening on the houses in this town, you guys have the largest historic district in the state. There's so much housing stock here. It's a super important town, but most of the decisions are happening between the property owner and the contractor. You guys aren't a part of it. In Edenton, it's the same way. In Bath, it was the same way. It's the disappointing fact, but I'm interested in coming back if we could, HPCs, in my opinion, should be also an educating body. I'm happy to come back and have a preservation contractors meeting, invite contractors, and I'll talk about this stuff with them, answer their questions.
Like homeowners too.
Homeowners too, but I think it's really the contractors. Homeowners are great, but most of the homeowners, you're right, whoever said that, don't actually do the work themselves. They're going to hire someone and rely on the expertise, and that person's just going to Sherwin-Williams, picking up gallons of latex and putting it on the house, because that's what they know.
We could do a special certification, new Bern certified painter. I've gone through the training, and then the owner.
That's a good idea.
HPC award.
Because most of our contractors are good, hard workers.
Sure.
And not knowledgeable, and they don't know they don't know any of the
That's right.
chemistry about paint or any of the properties about.
Yeah, and they're relying on their Sherwin-Williams reps. So they'll go into Sherwin-Williams and say, I heard this crazy guy from Edenton tell me about linseed oil paint. What do you think? And it's like, we have scientists all over the place working on this stuff. They can't know any more than this guy.
Well, in New Bern, it's the Benjamin Moore man.
The Benjamin Moore, okay.
And Benjamin Moore does not make any kind of oil paint anymore.
Wow.
And I had this conversation at great length with Randy Quigley.
Yeah.
And I just had to quit shopping there.
They make a primer. Benjamin Moore makes a primer oil.
Not anymore. Not according to Randy.
You can buy oil primer still. It's not Benjamin Moore, but
Not Benjamin Moore.
Well, one of the issues that I've seen come up with linseed oil paint, and by the way, I'm a huge proponent of linseed oil paint. I'm using that on all the sashes I'm restoring, but it takes longer to dry. And these paint contractors want to be able to come in and possibly do 2 coats a day.
yeah, do it in the morning and then before you go. Put the coat on.
And I don't think that's feasible with linseed oil paint. How do we get around that argument?
That is a tough one. I mean, linseed oil paint, I can put another coat of linseed oil paint on a house in maybe 48 hours.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a 48-hour turnaround time. Another key to linseed oil is brushing it on as thin as possible, because if you kind of cave and pray, like they say in the auto body repair industry, if you're just flooding all the cracks, that stuff will never dry. When we were taking apart the reproduction woodwork at the cupola house, that was painted with linseed oil paint. How many years ago, Richard? 20 years ago? When we were taking it down, I took the cornice off. I got linseed oil paint all over my hands because they just plastered that stuff on there. So you really have to draw it out to let it dry. But in my experience, I've even painted it next day if it's a really hot day. If it's overcast and maybe slightly cool, it'll take 48 hours.
So they could rotate through their customers. They paint one day, go to the next customer, next day, and then come back to the first one with their
Or
Do one side of the house.
They could figure it out.
Or tell the contractor it's a premium service. They love that word.
When Bengal did every metal roof in New Bern and did all the repainting of the metal roofs, it was always red because he bought in bulk something that was called long oil roof paint. It was very slow drying, but it was incredibly tough, and it was linseed oil. That's great stuff.
Yeah. So Matt asked me to talk about breathable masonry coatings, and you guys mentioned that. This is lime wash on a Charleston building. This is proper lime wash, pigmented with a yellow ochre. And you can see those flashing spots. I think this was taken in the morning. And what that's doing is it's dissipating the morning dew out of the substrate, and it's letting it just turn into vapor. And in an hour, this will be solid yellow all over again.
Is that over?
Probably brick or stone.
Is that stone or brick or mortar?
Or even coquina.
Stucco.
I'm not sure. Probably brick. So you'd build it with brick, you'd parge it, you'd do your faux block scoring to make it look like it's a sandstone, and then you paint it with lime wash. Lime washes or mineral paints are really your only paints for masonry buildings. Anything else is going to be trapping that moisture. Mount Vernon has switched entirely to linseed oil paint. They have fantastic rusticated siding. It cannot be lost. They were losing it slowly. Stuff was rotting, and finally they got with the company I was ordering from, Earth and Flax. And so Audison Paint is now the main supplier for Mount Vernon.
Early on you said something about some of these large structures to have like the Cabot oil. Are you recommending that for masonry as well, kind of a stain, or are you lime wash only on bricks?
I would only use lime wash on brick. Cabot, I don't think it's tested enough. And even with the oil, it's a totally different property than what the lime is going to do. Mm-hmm. Lime is like a highway for moisture. When you get it on your skin, it burns your skin because it's drawing so much moisture out of your skin. Oil is going to dampen that a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah. The next one, this is the beautiful roofs of Mount Vernon. They had painted, Reed Thomas got their recipe and painted one of his buildings with latex paint over cedar shingles. But the contractor / consultant, Peter Post, discovered that it was rotting these really, really expensive roofs that they were putting down. And they hand stripped every shingle on Mount Vernon, and they have since gone back. I guess that's to the right up there, the main house. The hyphen is latex, and then you have the main house with the interior gutters. That's linseed oil on the main house. And by now, the whole house is just about linseed oil. Looks great. This is nice on cedar shingles. Most buildings with cedar shingles had coatings. Everybody loves that worn, weathered look, but it's actually decay. I'm trying to get state historic sites to start coating their cedar buildings because they use lots of taxpayer dollars to put beautiful cedar shakes all over these buildings they have throughout the state, and then they slowly decay, and they're not actually doing preventative maintenance on them. So that's another one of my causes.
10 of 8.
Anytime we want to stop. This is actually not a scary room for me. It looks like a teardown almost, but really this is the humidity is shedding as much paint as it wants to shed, and it's doing what it wants to do. So this is totally repairable. Keep going. This is more flood resiliency. That's latex paint peeling off a plaster, especially near the humidity of a supply duct.
What? You don't have to remove that entire ceiling?
You don't. We can breeze past this.
So going back to the brick, so the information that they got regarding the property down on Craven Street to put some kind of a stain on it to give it a more uniform look. I'm guessing that would not have been your recommendation on that at all?
No. I'm not sure why that was recommended. That happened, I think, within a few months before I arrived. And it's really up to each of those MPS or even SHPO colleagues of mine. It's up to their individual knowledge and their recommendations in the moment. But we're trying. I meet with that lady. We all meet with that lady every 2 weeks. So
I think I remember early on in her discussion, she was driven a lot by trying to make it look uniform, like it was when it was new.
Mm-hmm.
And that may have shifted it to how do I make it the same color everywhere.
Perhaps.
And we do have a former guideline that talks about dealing with that, where we would allow a coating to try to deal with changes in the thing over time where there's inconsistency in the appearance. But Yeah, it threw us, but
And I think between us, one of the factors with that decision on her part was when they were facing severe cuts in MPS, and they kind of slackened a little bit because they were also worried about their jobs in that moment. So I think that might have been a concern. But that's probably all the slides I could go through. I promise I won't do another 146 slide thing. But if there's any time you guys want me to come back, and if there's a hot button topic you want me to put something together on, I'm happy to do that. I'm happy to talk with contractors, homeowners, anybody.
you said lime wash would be acceptable on stone, brick, or brick.
It would be acceptable with the caveat if it's appropriate.
But is it better to not do it at all? You've got original brick, 1880s. Is it better to just not?
I would say it's better to leave it unless you're dealing with just series of campaigns of just bad patchwork.
Okay.
This was a common thing. I'm not sure about the 1880s, but earlier on, that's where my interest focuses. They would do tinted lime washes of like a red. They'd just paint the whole chimney like a stained red color to blend everything in, because they didn't actually like earth tones. They lived in the earth tone. They wanted to see bright red.
But like that covers all the mortar and everything else too.
It does.
Yeah.
And early on, they would go, and like Richard might know, if in the 1880s, they'd go back with white lime and strike the joints white, that's a lot of work.
Yeah.
Well, in 1771, the new brick at my house was lime washed with yellow ochre.
Yep.
So,
Yeah.
And when was that?
1771.
Were you in high school then?
Yeah.
I think Richard built that house.
I remember when they did that.
Closing, if you guys want to see a house in town, I don't know of another linseed oil paint house in town. You want to keep your eye on the house. Dad owns 308 Metcalf Street. That's a rental for him. I consulted on that project, and it's painted with Ottoson linseed oil paint.
What color is that house?
It's, I think it's called leaf green, and
Michael Rogers owns it?
yep,
Is that the one with the faux painted doors?
yep. I painted the doors. Yeah.
What's that? The grain doors?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's leaf green. The tan trim is wheat gray, and the dark is burnt umber.
Yeah, it's a good looking house.
Yeah,
And it's all linseed oil?
all linseed oil.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, he's rolled his eyes at me a few times for that. So, but I have to remind him he's not replacing siding.
So Wade, we've mentioned stain kind of here and there. Linseed oil paint versus a solid stain. What do you think about solid stains? For a wood coating.
Okay. I think the oil-based stuff is probably the preferred use or the preferred product. I hesitate at I know Super Deck 9600 series by Sherwin-Williams. That's an alkylid base, but it's not going to be as breathable as a linseed oil. The Cabot oil-based stain is probably an alkylid mix. Maybe talk to Cabot about that. I've not used it myself. I have a can. I've just not used it. It's still going to be breathable. I just don't think it's going to be as breathable as linseed oil paint.
Right.
Now, I've seen people with porches and decks to use a product like that. Are you advocating using linseed for the deck material as well?
You could. With the caveat there, though, is most porches aren't original. You want your investment to last longer, so you're going to want to put the best kind of paint on a porch as possible. But it's not. That's, in my mind, a little less preservation. If you have to replace your porch more frequently, you're not going to be destroying historic fabric to the same degree. But I think Cabot is probably acceptable for modern replacement porch floorboards.
Or the Sherwin.
I would probably use the Cabot first, but I just hesitate because it's a plastic product. Which I just don't think it's going to breathe as well. They say it's breathable. They say it has a little bit of oil in it. I'm just still a little gun shy of the product, personally.
Cabot or the Sherwin-Williams one?
The Sherwin-Williams, just because it's not an oil-based product.
That's what I use.
Into the removable paint.
I use.
Yeah.
I use the Sherwin.
Oh, yeah. Go one more over. There we go. This is this yellow thing here. That's the infrared paint remover. That's one of the best paint strippers you can get. They're expensive. That little thing right there is maybe $550. But what it does is it safely, without too much smoking, but especially important, without flame, heats the paint to below the temperature in which toxic fumes start to occur. And then you just take a scraper and remove it. And you can remove like a 12 by 5 sheet every 30 seconds. So it's tedious, but it's a method.
Have you seen the laser paint removal yet?
I have.
Yeah.
There's a linseed oil paint company, Bruns, out of the UK, and they also have a partner in Savannah, Georgia. They're starting to use it, and it looks fantastic.
Again, super expensive equipment.
So expensive.
So how does that work? Is it a small unit?
Think of it
or is
like my understanding, and I haven't personally seen it. I've seen it. I've seen videos. I've seen a little bit of information on it. But think about it like what they're doing with laser tattoo removal. Essentially, it blasts it with laser light, and it more or less vaporizes.
But how big of an area? I mean, you have to have
it's small. You know, so you're. I
Maybe
would say
3
the
by
stuff
3.
I've seen, you're probably an inch band, so you're
Wow.
you're going back and forth, and you can't. My understanding is you can burn if you're
If you don't go
not
fast enough,
if you're not
you go
going
too slow.
fast enough. So I don't know a ton about it. That's kind of why I asked as well. Don't know a ton about it, but it seems like very interesting and quick. It'll strip, from what I've seen from videos, it'll strip layers and layers and layers on super complicated and very delicate wood.
maybe they had the
wood
real
trims and things.
the intricate
So,
stuff.
yeah, so you get into like heavily lacquered or overpainted furniture with super high detail wood carving in it, and you can kind of go right through it and it'll strip it right down to the wood.
So this infrared is instead of having the heat guns or the flames or whatever else.
Yeah, that is one of the best things to use. Is the laser stuff is still pretty new. Hopefully that stuff will come out to be mainstream eventually. But one of the things I always say is the same thing the doctor uses to perform surgery could also be used as a murder weapon. It's all the guy using it. That's what it comes down to.
Sure.
So.
Okay, well, we really appreciate it.
Sure thing. Thanks for having me come.
Thank you,
That
Wes.
was awesome.
Yep.
Thank you very much.
And we'll keep in mind, Mike is the president of the Hydra Historic District Residents Association, so he's got access to those people, maybe to,
And Gregory is VP of Riverside.
okay, and he's
Okay.
also a realtor, so.
Okay. Awesome.
We don't hold that against him mostly.
And I would,
But I think we need to
encourage-
get the word out, because
Yep.
as knowledgeable as experienced as I've had, I
So-
never knew that.
Yes.
I knew about linseed oil, but I didn't.
Well, I brought a stack of cards for you guys to
Okay.
pass around to people. To have them contact me. I'm happy to come back anytime.
Yeah, that's one thing that gets lost, that Matt keeps reminding me, is that because we are a certified local government, all the residents have access to SHPO. And so it's a benefit of us being certified local government.
Even if you're not certified, I mean, because there's plenty of county or county folk that I'll totally go up to. I will go to any project, and I get paid for this tax dollars. So, yeah.
One of the things you talked about was if you use linseed or anything else, you want to get down to the bare wood. We've had some discussions about the best way of doing so, hand sanding and versus or even blasting it, sand blasting or kernel walnut shells. Is that what?
Some kind of media blasting.
Yeah. So what are your thoughts on the different techniques on what is preferable to not harm the material and still give a good surface?
Well, For exterior, I would use mechanical scrapers. There's a carbide triangular scraper. That's a
made me
great
think
one.
about it here.
That's a fantastic one. I like the 5-in-1s. That profile scraper can be nice, especially if you have any kind of profiled edges around doors, windows, or your siding. Those are really nice. I have tried the paint eaters. They're okay, but they leave swirls all over your siding. I have used I think it's called a diamond brush. It's a big plastic wheel with diamond paddles all over it. That'll dig right into cypress and ruin a board very quickly. I've not found any tool other than mechanical tools that really do a good job. I will do a very light amount of sanding. I don't sit there and sand it till it's smooth. I like the textured look on the siding because it shows its age. But you do kind of want the whiskers knocked down, so you can take a quick pass with sanding. But just keep in mind that if it's lead paint, you're getting it in the air and wearing proper PPE.
But the power wash and the walnut shells and those kind of things, that's not something you're recommending, correct?
I wouldn't, and we had a massive failure on the Kadesh AME Zion Church in Edenton. They power washed with the Whirly Bird on the entire, I don't even know how much square footage that was, but they left squiggly lines all over every surface of this church, and they had to sand them all down.
Goes back to some of our earlier conversations. Yeah. Cool.
I would encourage everyone to look at section 6 in the guidelines. We tried to really beef that up, and a lot of what Wade talked about, particularly with paints, is in there. Another thing I'd like.
This is the new.
Yeah, our guidelines that we're currently updating. Another thing that I think would be very worthwhile for you to come back and talk about is the whole thing with old bricks and lime mortar versus Portland cement and all that.
Oh, yeah.
That's something else that we encounter quite a bit from property owners.
Yep.
They don't know. So
most of this knowledge is not a mainstream thing.
Yeah.
You have to be obsessed with this stuff or research it on your own time to figure this stuff out. But yeah, I'm happy to come back and talk about lime mortar. I actually do have a presentation made for the whole lime cycle I did for the Greensboro Preservation Program.
That'd be interesting.
But we'd like to get to the point where we're not necessarily encouraging property owners to do this work, but how to have a conversation with the contractor, handyman, whoever that's doing the work, so that they can understand, okay, this is what you are supposed to be doing to preserve this stuff. Yeah.
And what I've done is I'll hire guys. I hired a brick mason. He was Hispanic, or he is Hispanic. He didn't change. He was doing lime mortar work for me. I mixed all the lime mortar myself. He had never worked on a historic project. And he said it all has to be done before Christmas because I'm going home to Mexico to see my family. I said, fine, that's whatever. We can handle that. So he did the work. I think he kind of enjoyed it. He went home. He restored all the English bond lattice around our foundation. Went home to Mexico, and I didn't hear from him for a while. And I called him back to do my front steps job. And I said, can you break away from your brick crew to just do some solo work for me? He goes, actually, I started my own company. I went back to Mexico, and I realized everything they're doing is lime mortar there. And for some reason, I'm just seeing this reoccurring thing where in the U.S. we're using the wrong mortars. So I started doing this research, went down the rabbit hole of the French and English restoration companies, and he started his own business, and he's focusing on historic work. Awesome. So it's just one of those things of like just talking to people, educating people. That's how this stuff gets out.
I want to know what his phone number is.
I'll share it. He would love to come. He would love to come.
Where is he? In Edenton?
Elizabeth City.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So might work for you.
Ride down with you on a Monday.
All right. And he hasn't realized fully how valuable his service is yet.
Yeah.
So.
Have a nice foundation that's been painted. So.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Well, thanks, guys.
All right.
That was great.
Thank you.
All right.
I'll let you guys end your meeting.
That's it.
Next thing was discussion on standards and policies updates. Just a reminder about the public hearing on Tuesday next week, the 7th, 5:30 p.m. in this room. Matt, potential new minor works items, that's really the carryover from last month, right?
Yes.
Nothing
So-
new to
With the
that.
changes that we had all talked
Right,
about?
and I was hoping to have, some of those changes drafted for today, but couldn't.
Okay.
Cool.
Well,
But, so we'll have them for a couple days before the next meeting.
anything moving on prevention of demolition by neglect cases? I'd asked you about the REM house.
Right. So Tim and Gregory were in the meeting that we had yesterday.
Okay.
So go ahead, you guys, if you want to.
Which one was that? Yeah,
The Ren House.
George Street, George.
901.
the Rim House is at the top of the list.
Yeah.
Matt's getting together a fairly comprehensive document with pictures that will go to the property owner.
It's already 25 pages long.
Yeah. There are a number of things that are an issue with that structure that need to be addressed pretty quickly. I don't have the sheet in front of me. We've managed to whittle down the prevention of demolition by neglect properties, the numbers that are on the list. Some of them have taken care of themselves. I think we're starting to make some progress.
The list from last meeting was very good, so thank
Yeah.
you. And
Yeah.
something I asked Matt, and I don't, just, my head works this way. We have some properties, particularly that one, that do we need to just get the discussion going by talking about the 5 worst issues on your house, or do we have to spend all our time coming up with 25 pages of problems when he's not talking to us anyway?
Right. So in this case, he hadn't been talking to us. We hadn't been talking to him for at least 10, 15 years. And I realized that he's a lawyer. He's way out of town up in New England. And so it just seemed like it was appropriate to do a thorough report to him.
Okay.
So that he could use that to then relatively easily, to help him get moving forward.
Because, I mean, literally it was 2012, maybe,
Address
2012.
all the items on the structure, not just whatever.
But maybe for some others, it might be just to get that dialogue going.
And I think the Rim House is a bit unique in the sense that, it's been an issue for years, and we've had HPC administrators who started a conversation with him, and then they moved on, and another person came in, and it's been stop and go a number of times on the Rim House, and I commend Matt for trying to consolidate all of it over the years and try to get the guy involved in a conversation to really address the issues, because it's been kind of piecemeal in the past.
Okay, good. Anything else on demolition by neglect? Dryborough, anything, Tim?
We've had some meetings. It's going slow, as I expected. I've been working with Dryborough since 2010, 2011. They're trying to get some signage on some of the important structures. That's going a bit slow. Reverend Holmes has had some health issues, so that slowed us down a bit. I think that's working itself out. So, we're making an effort
Well, I won't tell you it
to
was
make
going
something
any-
happen in Dryborough.
I won't tell you it was going any faster when I was
Yeah.
on. So, and Mike, anything on your awards program?
We mentioned it to John Barnes with the Preservation Foundation. He thinks it's an awesome idea, and they would like to be part of the process in some way. Maybe that means monetary, Matt?
Yeah, that would always be good.
But we're going to talk about it more. That was just a brief conversation.
Well, there was that video we watched about partnerships that can help you without you spending your money on it.
Yeah.
Did he watch that? Did he? Okay.
Oh, no, I did.
No,
I don't know if anybody else watched it. I did. Okay, Matt, any staff reports you want to go through?
Let's see, the only one I see on here is 614 New Street. People are interested in that one as well. Reservation left, demolition, we talked to the contractor and also had a meeting with the owner, and the contractor was to begin within 2 weeks. That was about a week or two ago. I haven't checked in on it yet, but we'll see maybe some action happening there soon.
And 709 New, you sent me a email exchange there. Is that's the rebuild?
Oh, right. 710.
Well, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's also getting started really soon too, because their funding runs out in October.
So, but whatever issue there was has been resolved?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
They should have pulled their building permit weeks ago now, so it may just be a matter of just getting geared up. Because I did drive by there about a week ago and nothing started yet.
It's going to be tight to get it done by October.
I think so.
Well, probably once he starts, is in a better position than...
Yeah, maybe. That's it then. There was a training option coming up. Oh yes, a couple of training opportunities coming up there too. But one's the national conference for the NAPC, and the other one, however, is that virtual summer short course. It's 3 days or 2 days of a bunch of webinars, and they're usually pretty interesting. So when I get the schedule, I'll send that all out to you guys. You guys should be able to get into that for free.
When does our bus to Minneapolis leave?
You're driving.
Okay, anything for the good of the group? If not, we're adjourned for tonight. Thank you. Thank you.